welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today I thought we'd create a few simple stamped cards, and we're going to use this green thumb set from Catherine Paula. So we've just got green thumb stamp set, which you can see you've got the plant pots and the cacti and the leaves to go within it. And then we've got this die set to cut out the pieces. So I think it's really nice to have some simple stamped cards ideas for when you've lost your mojo a little bit, when you want a quick card. There's all sorts of times when it's really useful, and these I think are really pretty. So I've chosen this set because it actually kind of stamps the colours, so there's no colouring in to be done or anything. I'm going to be using my Alternate inks today, so I'm just going to stamp this pot in Rubellite. And can you see that's turned out kind of splotchy? And that's because this is the first time I've ever used this stamp. So I'm going to just ink that up with my VERSAMARK ink, and then I'm just going to stamp that in there, and you'll see how much nicer this comes out this time. So I just wanted to show you that as a comparison. Popping it in your VERSAMARK ink or whatever kind of brand of sticky ink you use first really makes a difference to your new stamps. So I'm going to do that same thing with my leaves. And I think I'm going to use this just green ink from Alternate for the leaves. And I can use these coordinating dies to cut those out. So then I'm going to heat emboss a sentiment. So I'm going to use this birthday greeting stamp set from Alternate. And I think I'm going to use this sending birthday hugs. And I'm going to just heat emboss that with gold embossing powder from Wow Embossing Powders. So I recently joined the design team for Wow. So they sent me a bunch of like free stuff so that I can do my design teamwork with, but it's really, really lovely. And then also I just thought it'd be nice to also step up this plant pot a little bit. And so I'm going to use this embossing pen on here, and I'm just going to colour this middle section with it. Then I'm going to use the same gold embossing powder. And then how pretty does that look? And it's just a nice, really simple trick to kind of step up that stamped image. So then I've got an A6 card blank, which measures 4 1/8 by 5 7/8 inches. And then this piece of pattern paper is 1/4 of an inch smaller. So that comes from this really cool Peruvian market pattern paper pack, which is also by Catherine Paula. I'm going to glue that on there. I love how vibrant these papers are. Then I've got this piece here. So I've got a piece of black cardstock that measures 4 by 2 3/4 inches. And a piece of this yellow cardstock that's 1/4 of an inch smaller. I think I'm going to get a whole load of dimension on this card today. Obviously, if you are wanting to send it through the post, then you could leave out this set of foam pads and just pop some glue on. I'm fancying a bit of extra dimension today. So then I'm going to glue this set of leaves onto the pot. And then I'm going to pop my sentiment up on foam pads. And then I'm also going to pop this up on some foam pads. And then I'm just going to add on a few of these little gold gems. These are just like unbranded ones from my stash. And then we've got that cute little card done. So then for my next card, I've got another A6 black card blank, and I've got a piece of white cardstock that's 1/4 of an inch smaller than that. And one of my favourite things to do when I'm in a bit of a crafting rush is to do a background with my stamps. This one I'm going to lift up a little bit with some kind of die cut piece as well. So I'm going to stamp and die cut a couple of these leaves and a couple of ones we used for the last card. And I'm going to use just green on this one. And then because it's a darker colour, I can just add a little hunter green on as well. And you might have noticed that I forgot to do my VERSAMARK trick on this one, so I've done that on this one so it's come out much nicer. I'm just adding that little bit of hunter green to the middle, just gives that slight variation on the leaves and just makes them look a little bit more interesting. Can you see where it's just slightly darker in the middle? And then these ones I'm going to do in Sweet Leaf, and then I'm going to use the just green just on the top a little bit. So now I've got those and I'm going to start my pattern. So I'm going to use a lot of the stamps from the set this time. So I'm using the Rubellite ink here from Altanu. And I stamp some of them off the page. I'm going to stamp some of them fully on so that we get a nice kind of like selection of different colours and things. And I'm going to use the fresh lemon for this one. So then I can start filling my plant pots, and some of them I'm just going to lay bits like this over so that I can see like where that goes and I'm not stamping kind of over it. And then other ones like this I'm going to stamp straight on there. And I'm going to use the two colours on each just so that we get a bit more added interest. So now we've got this really fun background. So I'm going to do a sentiment. And I'm going to use this I'm Rooting From You from the set that we've been using today. And I'm just going to heat emboss that in the gold onto this black cardstock. And then I'm going to add a bit of sparkle to these as well. So I'm going to use my embossing pen and I'm just going to add just a little bit of this embossing ink just to the dots on these pink ones. And then I can just pour embossing powder over those. Let's heat that up. And then I'm also going to use this Heidi Swap glue pen, and I'm going to use this to colour this middle band of these pots. And then I'm going to use this new Wow Catherine Pooler Cotton Candy glitter, which is really cool. It's like loads of different sizes of glitter. And you see how that just adds a really nice little effect to that? So I'm going to do that to all of them. I'm going to do these one at a time because I don't want the glue to dry before I've got the glitter on it. So that glitter's so nice because it's got small bits in, it's got big bits in, it's got long bits in, it's like really textured. So I hope you can see that nicely on the camera. It gives a really nice shimmer to that. And because it's slightly pink, I think it's kind of more iridescent, then it kind of goes on top of like lots of different colours. It's really nice. So then I can glue my panel onto my card back. And then I'm going to add these pieces on with foam pads. And then I can just chop that excess off. So I'm allowing that to hang over the black. If you want it level with the white, then obviously you need to do this stage before you glue this panel on, but I quite like the look of it overhanging the black. And so then obviously I'm not going to use this one, but that's fine, that can be for another card. So then I'm going to glue this onto a piece of this pink cardstock. It's like 1/4 inch bigger. And then I'm going to pop that up on some foam pads. So there's that really cute card, and I think that just by adding the embossing powder and the glitter and popping up these bits, we've really elevated like a simple stamped background. So then for my final card, I've got another A6 black card bank and another mat that's 1/4 of an inch smaller. And then I'm going to grab my Rubellite ink and my blending brush. I just want a little bit of colour around the edge of this one. So I'm kind of going to start off the page, so most of it goes off, and then I'll just kind of brush onto it. Then we've got that nice little outline around the side. And then I'm going to use this piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to use that same Sending Birthday Hugs stamp that I used on the first card, and I'm going to emboss that in the gold embossing powder again. So let's heat those up. So then this is going to go across my card, and it's kind of going to act as like a shelf for my pots as well. So I'm going to leave that there as a guide. And I'm going to use my Rubellite ink with this pot. And I want to stamp this roughly in the centre. So then I'm going to use these leaves that I had left over from the last card. I thought they'd look nice as an addition to this card. So then I'm going to have them all in a line on this card. So I'm going to stamp these ones either side. And then I'm going to stamp some more pink ones either side of that. And then I'm going to use these in a similar way to before, just kind of like adding a lighter colour on and then adding a bit of the darker at the bottom just to give a bit of variation. And I'm using all the same colours as I used previously. So then I'm going to use some of these really little diddy gems on these little dots this time. You need like the smallest amount of glue. And I love how like the gems just add that little something. And just by adding these little accents to your card, I think it takes it away from being like quite a basic card. But with the gems and the blending and the popped up leaves, I think those little accents just really kind of make it. And if you're doing these kind of like delicate small gems, they are really easy, but you just need to remember just teeny tiny bits of glue, and a pickup pen for me is an absolute must because there's no way I'd be able to do these teeny tiny gems with my fingers. I mean, I've had this pickup pencil for absolutely years. They're pretty inexpensive and they last literally forever. So I'm going to add some gems to the yellow ones as well, but first of all I'm going to put the card together. So I'm just going to glue this onto our card front. So then I'm going to pop my sentiment up on foam pads. So then I'm going to use these bigger gems to just add a couple of gems across the yellow plant pots. And then I'm just going to add 3 under here as well. And then to finish off, I'm just going to pop up my leaves on some foam pads. So there's that card finished. And I think those little accents just make that so pretty. So there are all 3 of today's cards. So I really hope that today's video has given you some ideas for how to elevate your simple stamped cards. So they're still nice and easy to make, but they just look a little bit elevated. I'd love to know which is your favourite of the 3 in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, And you can also find a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.